Hello. I want you to think about the word wealth. Most of us associate it with something we can see on a screen. Numbers, bank accounts, cryptocurrencies. But wealth was not always like that. Before money as we know it existed, wealth was tangible. It was something you could feel and smell. It was tied to the land. It was Money 1.0. This is not just a history video. It is a lesson about the foundations of wealth. We will travel through time to the era when the land was everything, to understand the lessons our ancestors mastered and that we have forgotten. In the next few minutes, I will reveal how people built wealth when there were no banks or salaries, and why those ancient principles still form the basis for true abundance. Stay with me, because understanding the past is the only way to master the future. Part 1. The Era of Survival and Barter. Imagine a world where there are no stores, no restaurants, no banks. Wealth was your ability to survive. Initially, people didn't even have the concept of land ownership. Wealth was measured by your ability to hunt, gather, and make tools. The system was barter. A hunter would exchange the hide of an animal for another's spear. But barter had a huge problem: the need for a double coincidence of wants. I have a sheep and want a spear, but the person with a spear doesn't want a sheep. This simple problem made large-scale trade nearly impossible. The first form of real wealth, before land, was possession of high-value, long-lasting goods: tools, salt, spices, metals. For example, in ancient times, salt was so valuable that it was used as currency. That's where the word salary comes from. It wasn't money, but it was an asset. It gave you purchasing power. Part 2. The Birth of Property. The true revolution came with agriculture. People stopped being nomads and settled down. They realized they could cultivate the land. And with that, the idea of private property was born. Wealth was no longer what you held in your hand. It was the land you owned. Rule 1. The owner is the king. The first lesson of wealth is not how to make money, but how to own the assets that produce it. Land was the ultimate asset. Owning more acres meant having more power, more food, and more security. Land was your pension, your passive income. A study from Oxford University on feudal economy found that most serfs, who did not own land, gave between 40 and 50% of their production to the feudal lords, who did own the land. This shows you that true wealth was not in what you produced, but in the ownership of the means to produce. Rule 2. Productivity is the currency. In a world without bills, your value was in what you could produce. A farmer with knowledge about seeds or irrigation was richer than one who only had strength. Productivity was the most valuable skill. Knowledge about seasons, seeds, soil fertility was an invaluable asset. Rule 3. Spending is an investment or poverty. There was no impulsive spending. Every coin, every exchanged good, was done with a purpose. If you bought a tool, it was an investment to produce more. If you spent on something that didn't make you more productive, you were spending your future. Rule 4. Wealth was physical. You couldn't hide your wealth in a bank. You kept it in sight. This created a need to protect it and constantly expand it. Wealth was in the amount of grain in your barn, in the number of livestock in your field. Part 3. The hierarchy of the earthland ownership not only created wealth, it created a social structure. Lords and serfs. In feudalism, the feudal lord was the owner of the land. His wealth did not come from working. It came from ownership. The people who worked the land were known as serfs or peasants. Their wealth was subsistence. The lord's mentality. The lord did not ask himself, "How do I make money?" He asked, "How do I make my land and the people on it more productive?" His focus was on assets, on systems. His wealth did not depend on his daily effort, but on ownership. The serf's mentality. The serf focused on hard work. He believed his effort was his only source of wealth. He did not focus on ownership. He believed security was in working for someone who did own property. This hard work mentality still exists today, but it keeps you at a subsistence level. Part 4. The fall of the model and the rise of cities. The Money 1.0 model was solid, but it had a weakness. It was neither scalable nor portable. Wealth was tied to a location. You couldn't take a piece of land and give it to someone in another city. Then, with advancements in navigation, the era of global trade arrived. People began trading goods that were not cultivated, such as silk, spices, and salt, in large quantities. The true revolution came with industrialization. Factories appeared in cities. People realized they could earn money without owning land. Work became disconnected from agriculture. A historical report from the University of Cambridge indicates that the massive migration of people from the countryside to cities in the 18th and 19th centuries was the largest population movement in history, a clear sign that the Money 1.0 model was collapsing. Part 5. The Legacy of Money 1.0. Although Money 1.0 is dead, its principles are still engraved in the DNA of true wealth. Lesson 1. Asset ownership is the key. Today, your asset is not land. It is ownership of digital assets, a business, or a stock portfolio. The wealthiest people in the world do not own their salaries. They own companies, real estate, patents. Ownership remains the only true form of financial freedom. Lesson 2. Productivity is the new land. Your most valuable asset is not your job. It is your knowledge and your ability to create. You can create an idea once and sell it millions of times. Your creativity is your new land. Lesson 3. Destructive consumption. The spend-to-produce model remains the key. The money you spend on liabilities that do not generate income takes you away from wealth. The money you invest in yourself or a business is what brings you closer to it. So you can see that this is not just history. Let's look at 2 modern examples. Case 1. The Modern Farmer. Mindset 1.0. Juan works in an office. He works overtime to earn a little more, but all that extra money is spent on things that do not generate income. A new TV, clothes, dining at expensive restaurants. His money disappears as quickly as it arrives. He lives paycheck to paycheck. He believes that hard work is the only way to be rich. Case 2. The Modern Gentleman. Mindset 1.0. Anna also works, but she invests the extra money. She puts it into stocks, into a small online business that generates passive income. Her focus is not, how do I make more money, but how do I make my money produce more money? She is building assets, not just selling her time. Juan has a servant mentality. He works hard and gives most of his production to others. Anna has a gentleman's mentality. She understands that owning assets is what will make her free. The game of money has always been about understanding assets. In the 1.0 era, it was land. Today, it's digital assets. The lesson remains the same. If you want to build wealth, stop spending on things and start investing in assets, in yourself. Thank you for staying with me. What you just learned is the foundation of everything that follows. Don't miss the next video, Money 2.0, The Salary Trap. In the next video, I will reveal why salary, savings, and pensions became the new form of wealth and why that mindset continues to dominate most people. Subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss it.